Let's just return.
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank God. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I've been in bed all day because I have malaria, like kicked in. So I have been a hot mess. So forgive me. I've got my electrolytes. I got my butt up, and I need to push through, which I'm going to do. But I need you guys to just bear with me, please. Everyone told me they're going to be late today except for you all. So since this is being recorded, I'm just going to go ahead and start going through the content. The main questions that you have, if I'm not sounding articulate today, we have to do it during office hours because my mind is a little discombobulated.
Yeah.
I'm going through motions, y'all. I'm going through motions. I'm not gonna lie, I'm going through the motions. And I can't cancel class. We just canceled it last week. We cannot cancel. We have to move forward. I hope you guys heard all that.
Yes, we heard.
Okay. Yep. So that's kind of why I'm hiding my face too, because I feel like I'm a hot ghetto mess. I don't want you to see me. So you see the mic. Okay, so we're going to jump right into business registration. And it appears to me that this is coming up on the screen in full form. So it's in presentation mode. And as we talk about business registration, I just want to let you guys know that there is an accompanied video that's a good 20 minutes long that goes into detail about the business registration. So please watch that on your own time. Because it might answer some of the questions that you may have. So as you all know, the Registrar's General Department is where all businesses are registered in Ghana. This includes nonprofits. This includes the businesses for large corporations, mom and pop, sole proprietors. They also have a type of business here called enterprise. And for folks in the States, that would be more like a sole proprietorship type of a business, because it's like for a single person who, let's say, has a corner store and all they're selling is nail polish, something like that. It's something very small, very basic. For the business registration, depending on your industry, you will have to get additional licensure and maybe certification. So for instance, if you're working with healthcare, there is a operating body here that oversees all healthcare facilities. So I recently did a video. Well, I recently posted a video that I did um, with the guys that have a clinic in East Legon. And so they had to get their clinic verified and approved by the body here that allows for medical practice to happen. This is also true with education, including online learning. However, it is not enforced yet. They have all these facilities, all these ways of taking your money, but there's no enforcement. Here in Ghana, you can operate any business for a good year before you even register it, and that's perfectly legal, just to see if you can make any money from it or if there's a need for it. So the last part of this is that there is another entity in Ghana called the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. You may have heard about this because they like to promote it a lot for tourism. They like to promote it a lot when they talk about the diaspora and when they talk about investment. So when they're talking about the diaspora, they're typically talking about Ghanaians who live abroad, like in the US, who can come back and do business in Ghana and or who want to move back permanently and do a business. So like in Columbus, Ohio, there's a huge Ghanaian community. They focus their efforts on these pockets of diaspora communities in the West to try to bring them back. So that's what this Ghana Investment Promotion Center was made for. However, they will lump us as diasporans into that, yet really don't provide any services to make sure that we're able to navigate and get what we need. This typically is a second step that a company would have to take if they're doing a large scale investment in Ghana. So manufacturing is one of those. Retail, like big retail, like you're going to bring a Walmart or, a Home Depot or something like that into the market. So what they have now that's similar is like these Malcolm stores and these Game stores. Game is a store, I think Game and ShopRite for sure. ShopRite is a grocery store, a large one, very similar to a scaled down Walmart. It's not exactly like a super Walmart or anything, but it's still pretty large. And they come out of South Africa. So organizations who have established brands in their respective location where they have their headquarters or their home countries have to do a second registration with the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So that's something just to be aware of for later, but you all in this program don't have to worry about this at that time. Wait, I skipped. Okay, here we go. So when you're registering your company, again, I'm going to reiterate, please watch that other video. I really break down the different types of companies, registering, the forms, everything in that particular video. But when you are registering your companies in Ghana and you're thinking about what companies you want to do, please be wise. Here in Ghana is very different than the States or the UK or in Germany. I don't really know how it is in France, but I know it's different than those three areas. So it's probably pretty different in France and other parts of the EU as well. Here in Ghana, you can register one business as your parent company. And I call it a parent company because I'm just used to talking about companies in that way. But if you have a parent company, an overall company that you would say is Black Unicorn Limited, that's how our company is registered, Black Unicorn Limited. Under Black Unicorn Limited, I have at least 8 other types of businesses I can do under Black Unicorn Limited. And I did that in a way so that I can maximize the registration process because everything here takes long. Secondly, so I can spend the least amount of money to register my business. Because instead of double registering everything, you can just register things just one time when you register your business. So I also give you prime examples of that in that video. So please watch that because, guys, I am feeling some kind of way today. So you got to work with me. This malaria is saying, girl, What are you doing? Hi, Marlon. How are you? Okay, welcome to
Hi,
the class.
thank you.
Yeah. So I did put in here that you can start doing business before you're actually registered, but there's a caveat to that. If you run into any legal trouble, if you run into any issues, they can challenge you on that as a foreigner and make it more difficult for you to continue operating. So for me, I didn't want to take those chances, even though the contact that we have at the registrar's general's department was like, you can still just do the business. The paperwork is being processed. You can do it. It's fine. I, being super American, I guess, was like, no, it must be registered before I do anything. So we waited until everything was registered fully before offering any services. And I think the first service that I did was my ebook, and then moved on from there. So I'm just sharing this with you because you are coming into a new market and you're going to be testing the waters. You have very specific services that you're going to be offering, but how you offer those services, you're going to find very quickly you probably will need to make some changes to how that's being presented. So Ghana also has implemented something brand new. It just occurred. We're in May, so this must have happened in March, very recently. That they changed the dynamics of how you get a TIN. A TIN is a tax identification number, and the TIN is required to open a bank account, to start a business, to buy land, for everything. It's almost like a social security number, but it's not a social security number. But what they're doing now is that they're requiring people to have a Ghana card. So a Ghana card is in essence a national ID card that people in Ghana have started getting last year and then really had to start getting them in 2020 for the election. So now they're saying, okay, we're going to tie everything in to this Ghana card. And then for folks who have permanent residency and who aren't citizens, get a non-citizen ID card. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I've never actually seen this non-citizen ID card that they say that they have given people. And I've been around quite a few diasporans and nobody has one because nobody knows how to get it. So this is how Ghana works. They put processes in place, but don't tell you how to go through process. So that is one of those interesting things that are happening. I do know, depending on who, because this is Africa, depending on who you know and who you're working with, that your business registered, that person can definitely acquire a TIN and move things forward. But everyone has to have a TIN in order to do business in Ghana. And so the Ghana Revenue Authority is the tax office, and they are the ones who distribute the TIN numbers. And there's almost always one of these representatives from this office in one of the major government offices. So let's say like the Land Commission, you have a representative there from the GRA. You have a representative inside of the the registrar's general department. There's a GRA rep there. So you see what I'm trying to say? Like they're tucked inside, and when you know the right people and you know how to navigate all these new rules they put in place, you can still register your business and get things done regardless of the rules that are put into place. And I share this because this is something brand new that has come about in the past 2 months or so that they seem to be trying to find a way to enforce. So I'm going to go ahead and ask if anyone has any questions. And I can try to, answer those questions. I know I'm feeling crazy. You can't really see my face, but I'm telling you, I look a hot mess. It's bad. I'm doing a struggle life right now. Don't hate me. If you ever catch malaria, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's why I have half the mic in front of my face, because I feel embarrassed. But please, if you have any questions that I maybe can't answer now, let me know. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and go to the next topic. I do want to jump into the, I want to talk about customers very quickly with you all. Let me share my screen. Okay, if you're looking with me inside of the week 6 folder, you'll see that you will find the 2 PowerPoints that I'm going to cover today. The first one was business registration that I just did, and the second one will be online presence and branding. With that, there's a PDF document with just an article talking about branding and just giving some, like an example of how branding can work for a startup. It's meant to be for reference purposes only. But the actual assignment for week 6 is customers, and it is a Word document. And I am opening this, and I don't know if it's going to show for you, so I'm going to have to go back and see if I can share it. The reason why I want to talk about customers with you is because the last assignment I gave you had asked questions about the KPIs. And I have read through all those. I'm just still thinking how I want to give that feedback. It's good. It's just, some feedbacks about the pivot. And so when you're dealing with business to business customers here in Africa, here in Ghana, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of similarities there between how you talk to those customers and how you deal with them. But there's going to be a lot of differences because of the cultural nuances here. And so that's why I put these particular questions in here. Like the first question, there's several questions within a question, but within that first question, it talks about creating a newsletter and getting people. So my point of writing this question is, if you have a newsletter and no one checks their email, basically, what will you do? I didn't say all that in this particular question like that, but it's important to think about the difference, because what you will do in the States, because several of you have businesses already in the States, and you know how to market your company, how to get your clients. But what will you do when you come to a place where people don't check their email? Or at least not frequently. And then when they do check their email, they're literally going to read the first word or the 2 words, and then they're off. So these are some things to think about when you are working on the assignment for the customers. In addition, for number 2, when I talk about number 2, I'm talking about this in a way as if it's business to consumer. So you have individual clients or customers. But for those of you who want to go beyond business to consumer and want to do business to business, please think about your target market, specifically in the industry that you're trying to get into. And then if your industry is government, which part of government? Like, is it a specific area of government you're trying to get into, like the Minister of Finance, Minister of Education? When I say minister, I just mean like the ministries. The ministries are broken down like that. So like, what particular area about that? So please keep that in mind when you're answering this, because this could be helpful later on when you're trying to really break through into this market. Because I don't know if I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Ghana is not easy to navigate. This is a very hard place to navigate, because people are not going to tell you exactly what they want or need, but they will give you clues. And you will have to work around those clues in order to try to figure out how to work with them. So this is why I worded these questions in the way I did. And so I wanted to explain that so you all have a better idea. There's only 4 questions there. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the branding unless you have a question. Everybody got their face frowned up, so y'all might as well just say what you got to say. All y'all got a frowny face. I told y'all I'm sick today. Now y'all need to tell me what you thinking about.
No, no. Well, no, I was just curious. A lot of this is very similar to how it is in the Caribbean, and I know it's literally impossible to ever meet with the minister to get anything done. So I'm just kind of thinking, I guess, with my facial expression as far as if you need something done, if you need to get into these ministries, um, how feasible is that? I mean, I know you say it's difficult, but
So the thing that I'm saying that's difficult, you can get an audience with a minister with no problem. As an American, oh yeah, you can get it. I have sat in front of many of these ministers, at least 3 of them, and they just irritated me after a while because it's the follow through. The follow through is what bothered me. They'll entertain you. They'll give you a meeting. And if what you're talking about aligns with whatever agenda they're trying to do, which you probably don't know what the agenda is that they're trying to do, then they might move you forward. But I also was trying to meet with people right before an election year, which was bad. So now is a better time to meet with people because the elections are over. The MPP party is in place. You can get things done, but at the same time, it's the follow through. And so unless you are constantly calling them, asking questions, saying things in a way that they don't feel pressure, but they feel that you're interested, nothing's going to happen. Oh, but you can get the audience. That's not a problem. You can definitely get the audience. Yeah.
so do they put stuff out like they do here, the different ministries as to what goods and services they're looking for?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They put out those tenders, you know what I mean? But by the time they put those tenders out, typically they already have someone in place that they want to do that job. Not always, but typically. This is why people have to be here on the ground and start networking with folks that work in those offices, because they all have have assistants and secretaries and all these other little, I call them helper men. I know that's the wrong thing to call them, but they have their ear. So when you're talking to them and you're building relationships with them, they're the kind of people that will get you in the door. I mean, even as far as going and talking with the military guys that protect them, because they can get you a foot in the door too, surprisingly. And you wouldn't think it, but they're right there with them all the time. And they can easily just say, hey, I know this person, here's their card. And then they might let you schedule a meeting. I've had that happen. So it works. But it's like here, getting the meeting is not the problem. The problem is that follow through, follow up, and trying to figure out exactly is what they want. Now, I'm telling you this based on my own experience and then what people have shared with me. But others, every once in a while, you get someone in a particular, I don't know, like industry who happens to just come across the right person at the right time and get an immediate contract. But they are so rare. Out of every 50 diasporans I meet who claim they're doing business, maybe only 1 actually got a contract, right? So it's just kind of like you never quite know what the method to the madness is, but it's always possible, especially when you come here and you're showing them what the problem is. Remember, you guys were talking about before, I think that was Michael talking about, tapping into what their security flaws are and letting them see it. Find a way to do that in a respectful way. And that's a red flag. People will be interested. Like, okay, wait a minute now. Maybe you need to talk to such and such. Let me connect you with this person. And since you're new and you're coming right from the West, they are definitely going to be very interested in what you have to say. So use these, you have privilege when you come here. I said it. Yeah, I know it's bad, but you have straight up privilege when you come here. So yeah, you can do that.
So,
Okay.
Question for you about, I did watch that video you were referring to about registering, business registration. But a follow-up on something you said is that your company offers that service. Is that something that we would talk to you about during office hours in order to get that started?
Yeah, so that's something that I was going to introduce to you guys, that I will be introducing to you guys in week 10, to tell you who we work with, how it works, so that those of you who are interested, then yeah, we'll do office hours to move that forward if you're interested. But that comes in week 10. So that's like, I don't know, 2 more weeks. But yeah, that's the plan. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. Let me share my screen and jump into branding. Okay, where am I at? Chrome. Branding. Okay. Make sure you can see it. Okay, yes, you can see my screen. Okay, guys, you might see when I'm doing this, sometimes I'm talking to myself. Thank you for not laughing at me. I'm just making sure you guys can see everything. Okay, so the importance of having an online presence in Africa. Now, you know, this is a developing country, and internet can be spotty and internet can be great depending on what city you live in. Here in Ghana, and that's true for most of these places in West Africa. If you're more in the city center of Accra, you can get fiber optic cable internet, so the speeds are faster. But if you live further outwards, more affordable to rent, and you get more for your money, it's a little bit harder. So, you need to keep that in mind. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because more and more people here have access to internet, but they also have access to smartphones. Now, 2G is still very much used here. And 2G, I know you sit and be like, how do they use 2G? They use 2G because they still have them old school, I don't know what these phones are called. You know, the old ones where you just see the number on the screen and then you might see some green letters because that's what the text looked like back in the day. They still have those, and you find people in rural areas will have them. Some people will literally have that as their second or third phone because the 2G is very reliable to receive phone calls, no matter where you're at in Ghana. So a lot of people have it. I'm on 4G. There's 3G, of course, that's still going on too. I don't know when and if 5G is coming, but Huawei has an entire huge office building here, so I'm pretty sure they're trying to get it here. But the penetration for mobile devices and subscribers and users, as you can see, grows every year. So this last bit of data that I took from the UN was for 2019 at 45%. But I was looking at more recent data where it has increased to, I believe, about 55% of people having and using their mobile devices. Most people here who are, let's say, I'm going to say lower middle class to working poor, don't actually have computers. They have their phones or maybe tablets. Those who are more upper middle class and above have computers in their homes as well as the phones and whatnot. I say this because this matters when you're trying to offer services or train people who may not have access to the devices or software they need to be able to do your training. So please keep that in mind because this happens inside of the workplace. You will have people working there and the only computer they may have access to is their desktop for work. And that desktop could be a shared desktop that they share with other people they work with. There's lots of limitations. Now, there's other companies like the big ones like MTN, Fidelity Bank. They're going to have proper office facilities. Everyone's going to have everything that you're used to people having, anywhere in the West in a work environment. But keep this in mind because you're going to see that a lot in government offices. In ministries, you will see a lot of things that are going to be crazy. And then other areas will be very modern. They'll have, all these fancy brand new Macs and all this stuff, and they don't even know how to turn it on. Like I've seen them do so much stuff, and I just be sitting here like, what? Okay. Sometimes I just gotta be like, I'm tired right now. Y'all making me tired. but that happens. So keep that in mind because there's a component with y'all in the class right now who y'all will be doing some form of training. So just keep that in mind for that. It may not be relevant for other areas, but just think about that. So under this government that they have, the government now is the MPP. They were elected, I believe, in 2016, 2017, and then, of course, reelected. So they're in power until 2024. And the vice president's office is in charge of trying to digitize all government processes / ministries. And so that's why there's this move towards everyone having a Ghana card. Now, does the government own the company that's storing the data for the Ghana card and actually implementing it? No. So, I mean, that's another thing. Like, where's it all going? But that initiative is there. And whenever you have initiative to move things online and to try to get things more streamlined, you're going to have gaps in all areas, especially in security. So as you can see, cybersecurity is definitely wanted and needed. With the forced lockdowns and limitations of movement because of COVID, people here were forced to, for the first time, use online platforms that required them to do online training, e-learning, even working from home. So people didn't work from home here. That was taboo. So people were having to work from home, although they can do it because they had internet access and computers or, laptops from work. It was a struggle. Like the president had to mandate industries allow their employees to work from home, or they'll be in violation of the law because of the COVID protocols. And when I say that to you, that should give you an idea of how far back the industry is here compared to how advanced things are in the States. I worked from home at 2005. When I worked for IBM, there was a big office, but they didn't want us in the office because they wanted to rent out that space. So they let us work from home. So for me, I'm like thinking, why is there so much traffic? Like, this is crazy. We should have some options, but no. But now, because of COVID and because they realized that productivity, because they were recently talking about this on a call I was on, that productivity hasn't decreased in the way they thought it would. More companies are liking this idea of allowing some flexibility for their employees. So I just thought I would share that with you. And e-commerce is a new development here as well. Jack Ma, the Chinese billionaire from, of course, China, he has the WeChat, Alibaba Express, Alibaba Cloud. All that has been in Africa hard over the past 10 years trying to get folks to embrace e-commerce. Because if you think about it, China was where, let's say, West Africa is now about 20, 15 years ago. I mean, I lived in China about, I don't know, when was that? Maybe 15 years. It has to be about 15 years, 14 years ago with my kids. And they were just now starting to build high rises. Their kids were still taking shits on the ground. They were ass backwards completely compared to how they are now. And that was just a short time ago. They leapfrogged and bypassed everything that folks told them they were supposed to do. And plus, they manufactured everything there. So they were stealing all the technology anyway and re-engineering it and making it their own. It's Huawei. It worked. It worked for them. If you're going to give them your secrets, they're going to use it, But he's been in Africa doing different initiatives for entrepreneurship for young Africans, providing funding, doing a lot of different things to get people to do e-commerce. It worked. E-commerce is now starting to take off. And Jumia is an example of that. But e-commerce, for the most part here, is extremely new. People are really scared to use it. Cybersecurity is garbage. So people are getting ripped off all the time. But they have found ways around this by selling their products through Instagram and Facebook, getting people to buy it and pay cash upon delivery. That's a big thing here. You don't actually pay for anything online. You pay cash upon delivery. When the guy delivers it, you give him the 20 CDs, 100 CDs, whatever. So, these are areas as well to be advised of. So for me personally, I feel like it's the ideal time to enter into the West African market, especially with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that allows for anyone, including those in the digital space, to be able to have easier time of movement and taxes and all these things to work across borders. So this slide here that I'm sharing with you is just showing you the speed of the average uploads and downloads. They are very slow compared to what you all are used to in the States, but the folks who have recently been upgraded to fiber are getting about 10. So they're getting better. They're getting better. I will be honest, it's super hard as hell to use cloud computing services here. AWS doesn't work for nothing. Google Cloud is the only one I found, and Alibaba, that work for me here. And I really am not a fan of GCP, but that's how I'm able to run my website and stuff now, because it works here. So I don't know what you're running your services on, but keep that in mind, because you may have to do some kind of reconfiguration, new type of thing, hybrid type of working with the software and services that you will be providing your customers when you get to Ghana. But maybe it'll get better, since Twitter and Amazon talking about they coming. I don't believe none of that until you actually start hiring people, get your butt an office here because you're a big company, and start paying some taxes. Until then, I don't believe them, because Facebook kept saying they were coming. They ain't here. They went to Nigeria. So you got to take all this with a grain of salt, but hopefully they'll come like they said they're going to come, and that'll be a good thing. So the reason why I have all this in branding is because this is the things that you should be aware of when you're trying to reach your customers. And this doesn't just include individual customers. These include businesses. You'll find a lot of businesses don't have websites that are not secure, have websites that have never been updated, and they do most of their marketing on Facebook. Facebook, let me tell you, Africa, they love Facebook. They love Facebook so much. I don't even know why. Facebook gets on my nerves, but they love it. So over 50% of the population use Facebook. About 30 use Twitter, and less than 10% use YouTube. So YouTube is not as popular or prevalent here as the other social media platforms, but it's growing. And most, if not all, of government email accounts are Gmail accounts. Sorry, that makes me laugh every time. But yeah, so they are. And then you ask them, you have military people with top secret national security things, all Gmail accounts. And then I just sit there and be like, what are you guys doing? They were like, I'll just be like, okay, whatever. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah. So any questions you guys have about that? Gilliam and Gwen, you can always watch the replay to see what you missed. But any questions, guys?
Real quick on during one of the videos you said that the business that you moved to Ghana with isn't the same business that you have now. Like you formed different businesses once you got there on the ground. And I'm just thinking about the pivot, the idea of pivoting. Once you get on the ground and you figure out, okay, this isn't working the way we thought it was going to work.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that for yourself? Like is that part of why you pivoted? Maybe?
I mean, the reality of it is when you're starting a business in a new country or a new place, sometimes, so I never planned to start Black Unicorn. Black Unicorn Limited is what I have. That's my overall parent company. I never planned on starting that, and I registered that here. Reg Theory is registered in the US. So that was the company I was coming with to do straight, API testing, security training, period. But then I realized how far behind they were and how impatient I am. And that there's this, I'm having problems. And then I realized, okay, let me speak at a couple events, network with a couple of people, and get an audience with a few of these MPs and see where it takes me. And so that got me a contract with a local bank, two of them. I never got a government contract because I refused to pay them money to apply for their contracts. So I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I'm not paying you nothing. So for me, I just had a problem with that. For other people, they have no problem. So, you know, you can dish out your money like that. But I didn't want to, so I couldn't go forward with the government. But my Black Unicorn came about because there was a need. You know, I just had a YouTube channel. And from that YouTube channel, you know, I'm talking about my experience coming to Ghana and my frustration, just finding a place to live that wasn't in dollars and that was affordable. And well, I was hoping it wasn't going to be ratchet, but it turned out to be hella ratchet. and, and from that, though, came that business, you know, and from that business, I realized there's a lot of other opportunities here. And then talking with let me just call him like the business consultant at the registrar's department, he was like, you know, you can register several different businesses under this name if you plan on doing other things. You don't got to tell me twice. Every single block on that paper was filled in. I wasn't playing no games, honey. I'm not even done, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And that's what I mean by the pivot. You start something, and then it may not work the way you thought. So like when I was doing the real estate, because we're still doing the real estate, I thought we can do it just as easy with Ghanaians as we could with the diaspora. But it's different with Ghanaians because they're very used to, their standards are lower. No disrespect, but their standards are lower. Americans will not go for half that craziness. Like, what you mean it don't got no kitchen? I'm not paying you to put no kitchen in there, you know? But Ghanaians would be like, okay, well, then we're going to negotiate a lower price and then I'll put the kitchen in, you know? So there's a lot of differences there and you have to pivot. And that's the same when you're working in any single industry here in Ghana, because what you think makes sense, what you think is logical is not going to be logical here. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. And they have this thing with time. It doesn't exist. So if you're trying to say, okay, well, we scheduled this at this time and you didn't come, so and then they're going to cut you off. Or if you're like not just calling to check up on something and just ask them, how's the family? How are you doing? You know, I just wanted to see what the status was. I hope everything's going well at work. You know, shoot the shit. I can't shoot it at all, but my partner can, which was fantastic because I needed someone to complement my skill set. Because I would just be like, look, wait a minute, are we going to do this or not? You know, that does not work in this environment. In this environment, you have to be able to finesse, massage your way through things and understand how to pivot. And you don't understand that until you get here. So this is why I'm constantly talking to you guys about pivoting, so that in your mind, you won't be stuck on one way to do something, or you won't just be trying to bring what works for you in the West to Ghana, because that makes people a little bit annoyed too. They'll be like, you know, I don't care what works in the West because we need it to work here for us, right? And so you have to find a way to meet them where they are. And that is something that only you can do, each of you, once you're on the ground and understand others who are working in your field and what they're doing. So I'm going to preach the pivot from day one to the last day you guys are in here, because you will truly understand what I'm talking about when you come here and spend some time. When you spend some time in Ghana. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and go to week 7. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so in Google Drive for week 7, you are going to see a Word document that focuses on company image and hiring, and then the presentation. I want to talk about this company image assignment quickly. So let me share that tab. Okay. So the reason why I want to share the company image and hiring assignment, I just want to talk about it briefly with you all. You'll see that in that first question, it talks about creating and or linking to LinkedIn or another business platform, and then connecting with me on LinkedIn. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just think it would be good, a good way to introduce you to some people that I'm already connected to within LinkedIn here in Ghana, because Ghanaians and mainly Nigerians, but a lot of Ghanaians do use LinkedIn, which is a good thing. The second question is about the outsourcing of roles. So when you're answering this, I would ask that you think about what you know about the skill sets here in Ghana in West Africa. You know that you can outsource very easily through Fiverr or one of these other sites, Upwork, whatever, and get all these folks in India or whatnot. But there's a lot of talented people right here in Ghana. Some are on these sites, and some are not. But I say this so that when you're thinking about who you may need on your team to assist you in different areas, please think about these college graduates, university graduates who are unemployed. And the reason why they're unemployed is because, let's say something like accounting. When students graduate with their accounting degree and then get their CPA, what is that called? Certified Public Accounting, credentials. They are put on like a government list and then assigned positions. This is the same for nursing. This is the same for teachers at every level. This happens in a lot of different industries because the most coveted jobs here are government jobs. And that's because the government typically pays people when they're supposed to be paid. They give them a living wage, and it's like working at the post office, it's like lifetime, right? So, these jobs are coveted and students are waiting for to be placed. And then there's not enough private sector jobs to go around to help these students. And they have a lot of talent, but you will need to groom them. And so I'm putting a plug out there because I just meet so many qualified, good kids and in their 20s and some actually in their 30s, like they graduated in 17, 18, 19 and still have no job. So this is just something to think about when you're thinking about outsourcing. And I just wanted to talk about that quickly. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the hiring. And when I ask you to please fill this out for hiring, when you talk about the hiring and you're filling out the jobs that you may need to hire for in order to launch, build your business, scale your business in Ghana, I ask that you think about what are you going to do if you need to fire somebody? Like, you know what I mean? Don't just think about the hiring, think about the firing too. Like, how are you going to replace them? Are you going to have a plan to replace them? How is that going to work? So, it may not matter that much now, but as you start growing and you start needing to bring people on, especially like a manager to handle something for you, you're going to need to make sure that that person has the attention span and the follow through to get it done. And you'll see quite a bit of that on the scenario in number 4. And I really would ask for you, no matter what your field that you're going into, to think about this scenario and answer it on how you would, as the boss, as the owner of that company, as co-founders of that company, handle this situation. Because all of you have some form of a tech component to your business. And so this will matter when you think you're hiring someone with a technical background and you'll find some things are lacking. So please keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the last topic, which is pitching. We will go through pitching more next week. For those of you who joined after I had started, I literally have malaria today and I'm pushing through like a champ. So I can't go through the pitching like showing you a pitch today because I'm gonna crash and burn and fail. I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying really hard, but I am going to talk about pitching today. And then we're going to do an exercise next week and we come on here as a group where we're writing out pitches for your companies and then talking about it as a group. So just, think about that for next week. For now, let me share my screen. Okay. Let's see, is it presenting? Okay, yes, it is presenting. All right. Okay, guys. So let's pitch it. So pitching like a boss. All right. So when you're pitching initially, you can have people tell you your pitch should be 60 seconds or your pitch should be 1 minute. I feel that as we start really talking about pitching and doing pitches here in Africa, we will start with doing a 3-minute pitch. And this is where you're going to sit and brainstorm together, write down what it is your company is about, who you are, what you're selling, what you need, because that's something that you will have to put inside of your pitch. Now, there's a difference between a pitch and a pitch deck. Your pitch deck is an actual slide deck where you are sharing with investors everything I just said, but in more detail about the numbers, about the industry size, about the potential for growth, about how much money your product is estimated to make, about the demand of the product. All that goes inside of that pitch deck. And lastly, a business plan, which is something we're not doing in this particular program, but a business plan is way more detailed and produces everything about your business. Everything, what it is, who's working there, what are their backgrounds, the financials for your business, investment that's been made, revenue projections, everything goes inside of that business plan. So when you're doing a pitch, someone's going to be thinking, why should I work with you? Why should I invest in you? Why should I invest in your business? You always have to think of your pitch as you're selling yourself more so than selling your business, because people tend to want to invest in people that they like and people they feel they can trust. The good thing about here is that everybody's Black, so you don't have to deal with the racial component, because a lot of times when you're pitching, as some of you will know, and you're pitching to an all white crowd, the negative stereotypes are always floating around in their head quietly. But when you're in Africa, it's a bit different. However, it's important that when you are talking about what it is that you are selling or what it is your business is, that you do it in a way that's not full of acronyms, buzzwords, and way too many numbers. And I know some of you can be like, what do you mean? I can't use the data. Yeah, because some people get thrown off by it. It doesn't mean you don't use any of the data. It just means it should be very limited initially, because your pitch is just getting your foot in the door. So next week, we'll be talking about writing that pitch and making it under a paragraph. And that's typically less than 3 minutes when you write about 400 words and you're reading it out. So we'll be going through that next week collectively as a group, so that you guys can get practice with pitching and being able to really streamline your pitches, so that when you start talking to people about your African business, it sounds very, professional, good, and you're ready to go. You know what you're talking about. So when you're doing your pitches and when you're thinking about writing your pitch, it's extremely important to know who your audience is. Who are you selling to? Like, who are you talking to? Are you talking to a room full of technical people who understand all the technical jargon within your specific area? Or are you talking to a room that's mixed with business people, folks from the financial industry, folks from technology, and folks from agriculture? Because that can definitely happen here in Africa. You know, that pitch will have to be done in a way that everyone can understand. Because the moment you lose one person, they're going to switch to Tree or whatever language they speak and be like, what is she talking about? What is he talking about? I don't understand. You know, so that under knowing your audience and understanding the mentality of your audience so that you don't lose them is important when you're trying to pitch anywhere, but especially here in Africa. When you're doing your pitch here, you know, I did a few pitches here and I watched a few pitches and I participated to see how it will work here. I found that people here really have to have a trust in you. I mean, I guess that's probably anywhere, but they really have to feel that you're a nice person. They really have to feel that what you're talking about makes sense. You know, they have to feel a connection. And I know that might be sound a little bit more emotional than you might think it should, but that connection is everything and it is important and it will get your foot in the door. Especially if you're looking for partnerships or you're looking to have someone invest in your company early on or even later on down the road. So when you're preparing for that pitch that we are going to work on next week, I'm going to reference back to this slide then. And I'm going to be asking you to create a script. The script is basically that paragraph where you're going to talk about what your business is, you know, who you are specifically, not who you and your partner are, but who you are, because whoever the person is giving the pitch just needs to say who they are, what the business is about, what problem are you solving, how are you solving it, and what it is that you want. And all that needs to come out into your pitch. And even if what you want is just a meeting or a partnership or an introduction to someone else, that still needs to come out in that pitch. So the last part here is to practice your pitch anywhere and everywhere you get a chance once you create it. And even talking to yourself in the mirror, because that works. So for me, there's 3 C's of pitching. There's communication, clarity, and confidence. So for confidence, you always have to show people that you know what you're talking about, that you believe in your product, and that you can accomplish it, meaning that you can run this business, scale this business, and make money. If you are not confident, no one else is going to believe in you. The clarity comes down to who you are. Be very clear about that without giving a dissertation. What your company does and what you need from the folks that you're pitching to. And the communication and clarity does overlap, but it is different because for your pitch, it shouldn't be long. Your pitch should be short and sweet and to the point. When you get that meeting, when you get that next step, that's when you go into more detail about the services and the things you offer and who you're offering it to and all that good stuff. It's extremely important to stick to the point and stay on topic. Lastly, I've been saying this throughout this presentation, is they have to connect with you. They have to feel something from you. They have to feel a trust from you. So the story that you're telling them needs to connect with the person. And you may not know it's connecting with them until after you stop and they think, wow, you know, having this, you know, service that has a subscription base is going to deliver me organic chicken is fantastic. I've been trying to find some good meat that's raised right and grass fed. This is excellent. You know, that can happen. And this is just something you have to think about when you are doing your pitches and starting to prepare for it. Now, I'm going to talk about this more again next week, and we're going to work on it together as a group in our live session so that you guys could start working with those pitches. And then every week until we finish, we're going to work on the pitches, because that last week you're going to pitch like a real pitch, your program, or not your program, your company. I said your program, your company. So guys, please, questions? Am I on mute? What's happening? No, I'm not on mute.
Well, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Any questions, guys?
Yeah. No, I was just looking at some of the yeah, I can talk about it offline. I was just thinking about a pivot. Restructure.
I mean, it's okay. You can ask. I'll do my best. If not, I'll be like, girl, we gotta do office hours. But come on,
No,
it's fine.
So basically, I've had a nonprofit since what, 2000, for a long time. A nonprofit on the side. I haven't really been doing anything with. So I was thinking about just us pivoting, still offering the cybersecurity services, still offering technical services in general, but making it more of a technical training company, so that if we find out that cybersecurity isn't a thing, then we throw in some other technical services that we provide e-learning development. So, for example, the education of the schools they're all private, right? Like you have to pay to go there.
No, they're not all private. They have private schools and they have public schools for everyone, from nursery school to higher ed. So there's both.
Okay.
So free SHS is free high school. So high school now is free for public schools. But they still have to pay for kids in like junior high school, elementary school, all that.
Huh. Okay. So yeah, I just need to do some more research on the need for e-learning development, because you said that they're trying to digitize by 2024 because of the whole COVID situation.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the initiative that the government ran on too, so
right.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll keep that in mind for homework. Do you want the homework for week 6 and 7 done by next Sunday?
Yeah, there are only like 3-4 questions. That's it. Each. Okay. Yes, please. And who else has a question? Please just ask. Okay, y'all, I'm dying. Somebody better ask a question, or else I'm gonna have to end this, because I'm doing my struggle life right now. Like I want to lay down so down on this couch. No questions? Okay, guys, if you have questions later, schedule a office hours. If I'm still sick, I'll just move it to Thursday. The malaria run through me like 3-4 days. That's how it would normally work. I mean, I get it all the time. So I'm kind of used to it, but it still sucks. So yeah, send me a text message and I'll answer your questions that way. Thank you. I'm sorry that I'm monotone and I suck today, but that's all right. You got something.
You feel better.
Thank you. Okay, guys, have a good evening, afternoon.
All right. I feel better.
Bye. Thank you.